I remember for a long time I roamed the earth by myself. It was only me. It was just me. And at first I was excited and full with adventure. And after time went on, and I was not scared because there was no such thing as anyone else. It was just me. There was nothing to be scared of being by myself for. I had no reason to be scared. But I asked a lot of questions. And I sang songs. I sang songs to myself. I sang songs to the animals, to the trees, to the water. I sang songs to the sun. I made calendars. I made music. And one day, I became despondent and sad. That's when I first knew of Shaitan. Something, a force unseen to me that sought to take control of me and my mind as I began to be despondent and depressed, not knowing what alone was, but being alone and being sad, wondering if these mundane days that became routine would change. I began to think about my life and death, and then I thought I might never know what was happiness beyond the sadness I began to feel. I didn't know what alone was, but I began to feel lonely. But I am strong, and I got out of Shaitan's webs, Shaitan's whispers, to drown myself, to cry all day, to let myself go. And I got strong for no other purpose or will but for myself. And then one day, something was growing inside of me, and I was scared. I didn't know what it was. I thought I had conjured something that was evil or something, that because I was so sad and I had come out of it. But I thought in coming out of it, I must have done something wrong to have something happening to me. But one day, when I was in the water, like a beach at a shore by myself, and my belly was grown, I did not know what a womb was, but I begat a child. I walked from the waters of the shore, from the ocean, and by the time I got to the shore and the beach of the sand and collapsed, I had a baby. And my first child, they were just like me, but more effeminate, because there was someone like me to help them grow and be fruitful and be protected and be nurtured and taught and teach them. They were a student. They were a phenomenal student. They learned so quickly. It was them that assigned our tribe and our family colors. It was them that put measurements to the song I sang. And we didn't call it music. It was just something we did because we felt each other, and we would do it in unison like a choir. When you're around something that comes from yourself for so long, you know each other intrinsically, inside, before out. There's nothing that needs to be said. And at this time, we didn't say much of anything to each other. We felt things. My first child braided and made designs with hair and wove baskets as I taught them everything that I had learned being by myself. I learned how to create shelter. I learned how to make cement. I learned that water holds memory, and I learned how to talk to the animals. I learned the calendar, and I learned the weather, and I learned that the weather was affected by my mood. And I taught them how to do this. We were not women. We were we. And we had wombs. And my first child would beget plenty more than I had given. After my first, I had my second. My second was like an engineer, very smart, mathematical, logical, wanted to understand how things were. By the second child, we really understood ourselves a lot better. And by our second child, there were 3 of us. We each had our own language if we had to use one for each other. It wasn't mutual. It wasn't a language for all to share. It was, I had a language between me and my first, and my second had a language between my second and me, and my second had a language between my first and them. We were separate and distinguished. But alas, there was no reason to talk, and there wasn't really a reason to have language, but we had it anyway. And I begat another child who was adventurous and was influenced by Shaitan, did things and explored in things that we as a 3 before my third child didn't do. My third child was the first of us to kill an animal. My third child had a really hard time being themselves. My third child wanted to dissect things. With just my eyes, I told my child that I love them no matter what, but they cannot do that. We shouldn't hurt the animals. If we are trying to understand where we are in space and time, we can do that without hurting the animals, can't we? I said that with just my eyes. You can convey whole sentimentalities with just your feelings. You'll be surprised how much language isn't necessary, and that our world that is so materialistic only uses, which is language, to have more distinction and separation. There's less need for language when there are no boxes, when a person isn't being prejudiced against or biased against, when a person isn't trying to uphold something that is out of their range or chasing a dream, when a person is not in an Ouroboros of their self-destruction. There's less need for language. I will have had over 16 children. My first child would have nearly double which I have had. And I had made it to very old age. I even surpassed most of my children in age. As my children begat children, and they begat children, their lifespans shrank as their sizes shrank, and that was really hard for me to see. When we speak of the Most High, and I said this before, the Most High is not a man. The Most High is not a woman. It is source, consciousness in a benevolent and passive aspect, the antithesis of Shaitan. And when Source came down to experience life, it cracked through an egg. And from an egg, not like a reptile, more like an amphibian, begat the first. Source decided to have an avatar for consciousness in a physical three-dimensional realm, through space and time and in the physical. And they chose a womb being cracked from an egg that has melanin.